So my main topic really has to do with what inspires you. Um, and I think it just kind of depends on the setting, maybe. So, are you a meat and potatoes guitar player, or do you like a buffet?
Okay.
What I mean by that is, do you like just a small form? These are just the bare bones, and you feel like you get everything from your hands, or do you like a buffet of pedals to inspire you? When I'm playing live, I want the least amount of things between my thought process and what comes out of the speakers. So to me, live, I want a small setup. But when I'm at home and I'm like thinking of ideas or how to create some things, I kind of want the whole smorgasbord of pedals. That's where I lie, but I'm curious what your thoughts are.
That's almost like kind of studio mindset versus live mindset, right?
Yeah, that's probably true.
In the studio, you've got everything available to you and you can, check out all kinds of options. I've had times where I've had really complicated rigs,
Oh my gosh, you had Space Board Command or Command Center or whatever you want
all
to call
kinds
it.
of stuff. I've had stuff in effects loops and then a big pedal board, all kinds of stuff. And I've had times where I plug into like 3 pedals and go straight into my amp. And I think at different times I've been inspired both ways.
Mm-hmm.
These days, I think I'm kind of in the boat of where you're at with it. So every gig has got a specific amount of gear that you need to get by.
Mm-hmm.
If you're playing, like if you're in Nashville playing a Broadway gig, you're going to need a decent sized pedal board to get by to be able to hack some of these tones from these different, genres of music because they're not playing just country music anymore. They're playing a little bit of
I
everything.
say, yeah.
So they need a pretty decent sized pedal board to get through with that, or at least a pedal board that's small that can do a lot of sounds.
Right.
But for me, most of the gigs I'm playing right now, I specify my small board because I'm more of a meat and potatoes guy right now that sets the sounds that I really love that inspires me. If I have to play a gig where I need more stuff, obviously I'm going to bring it. But there's times where I'm playing my small board and I'm thinking, this is inspiring to play, and I'm really interested in getting from what I'm wanting to express on the guitar through the speakers, and this is doing it. But maybe if I had like another drive pedal, maybe I would it would take me to a different place.
Well, I will say, so you had, and I don't know what you're currently doing, but you had like an extra drive, and then you put on that MD200.
Mm-hmm.
So what are your thoughts with that? Do you feel like the MD200 is doing way too many things that you don't need? Like, what are your thoughts?
I'm at a ramping up stage right now.
Okay.
So I was at the stage, if you would have asked me prior to getting the MD200, if you would have asked me back in November before Pedalmas, if you guys haven't seen that episode, check out the Pedalmas episode.
Yep.
It's pretty interesting. But before then, I was very meat and potatoes. I've got 2 drives. I got one little solo boost, simple delay and stuff. Very much so. Got the MD200, threw it on there, got rid of one of my drive sections, and I've kind of realized maybe for this gig I want like a little bigger pedal board.
Uh-huh.
And then I'm like, well, if I move to my bigger board, I'm just gonna leave quite a bit of open space if I just put all these pedals back on there with the MD200. So maybe I'll add this and maybe I'll add that. So I think right now I'm on the ramping up stage of I'm gonna expand my gear palette a
There
little
it
bit
is.
more.
And that's how it all starts.
Well, it does. And then I hit a peak where I'm like, this is stupid.
Yeah.
Like, this is too much. And it's not inspiring me anymore because it's work. And I'm having to think, and it's not second nature anymore. And then I start coming back down. I think the sweet spot is to have enough gear and enough of a setup, pedals wise, where you're inspired with the simple tone you've got. But every once in a while, you're like, I've got this one extra drive pedal or this one extra kind of like your HX1.
Mm-hmm.
You can kind of throw some odd
I can
stuff
do
in
anything
there.
I need to with it.
But you don't have to. You've got the stock stuff you use all the time. But if you get like the hankering of, I want to try something different just for it, you can turn it on, and it's kind of an inspiration box.
Yeah.
But you're not overwhelmed with tons of options, if that makes sense.
I mean, you can be.
Yeah.
You can be for sure.
I definitely have been. So I think I'm more of a meat and potatoes guy. But right now, I'm on the ramping up phase.
Yeah.
Which means I'll come back down.
Eventually.
Yeah.
No, I just think of, the movie It Might Get Loud. If you haven't seen it, you should check it out. Jack White, very meat and potatoes. The Edge, very much a buffet guitar player. I think for me live, I do want simple just so I can focus on the music. Like it helps narrow my focus. But at home, like I want all the options.
Yeah, well, that comes with two folds then. Because if you're at home and you've got all the options all the time, then if you're trying to practice, sometimes it kind of feels a little overwhelming. That's kind of why I set up my practice rig. We've talked about it many times. I'm using that IR2 for practice because I can throw it at the end of my small board. I can throw it at the end of my big board. I can just use it alone.
Right.
You need to have the option for just practice where you don't have a bunch of options and it doesn't feel like a studio where you're plugging a bunch of different things in. I think there's something to be said for if you're trying to practice and hone in on something you're playing and want to concentrate on playing, on having something very simple,
Well,
very bare bones.
yeah, if you have something in particular that you're trying to tackle. But if you're just like kind of noodling,
Yeah.
that's what I'm talking about.
I just kind of sometimes I go in with something in particular, and I end up
Get
just
distracted.
I get distracted. I'm easily distracted.
Yeah. So